Hi, I'm Niamh.
I'm Jen,
And
and we're Biz Buddies.
so today we are talking about planning, which I feel a little bit funky about talking about because I don't consider myself a good planner, yet stuff happens and stuff gets done. So there's some of what I do must work. I don't know. How do you feel about planning, Jen?
I feel like it's something that I'm always trying to attain. I plan a lot. I do a lot of planning. I have lots of planners. I have lots of favorite planners. Like, I love this planner. I try to do these 90-day things, but I was just thinking back to I was trying to do the 90-day year earlier this year, and January, February, March. And as we were talking about this, I was like, I planned stuff, and that's not what happened at all.
I know.
And that seems to be kind of the story of my life. Like, I feel like maybe I go off track from my planning because my planning's not good enough, but that may not be the case. I don't know. Yeah, I'd love to explore this topic because it's something that I both love and struggle with.
Yeah, I find that planning can be a very, very good distraction for me because I feel super productive when I'm working on a plan, but I'm not actually working on the work. And so sometimes it's like a form of procrastination for me where I'm like, oh, I will spend half my day planning. And then nothing happens, but I feel really good. And then I don't follow my plans. Like, then what I find the next thing that happens is that my plans end up feeling like they're strangling me. Like, oh my God, I'm not doing the things at the exact timing that I said I would. And I find that that then feels really stressful. And I start to feel like I'm failing or doing something wrong. And I have to remind myself, this is just a plan that you laid out. It doesn't mean anything. So I find, yeah, I have this sort of love-hate relationship with planning as well. I just realized it's kind of funny. We both have calendars.
I was noticing your color schemes there, and I have some of them I write on, some I put little Post-it notes on. Yeah.
Yeah, but it's fun. That's a plan I made at the start of the year. I made that plan at the start of the year. And I have Biz Buddies podcast in like May, and now it's August. It's like, oh well.
I think the first time, so we did actually record some episodes of this early on that we ended up scrapping because we waited so long they got out of date. But I feel like it was somewhere around the holidays, like December, January, we did our first few episodes. But this actually feels much more relaxed and comfortable.
I think we were like, at that point, we were like trying to make it, I think we just didn't know yet what we wanted to make it. And I think finally we landed on like, we want to make it a conversation. And then we both are like way more relaxed. So I agree with you. Like, if you look back, and we might save those old episodes just for posterity, see what we do with them. But yeah, it's more relaxed. But see, that's what I'm finding with planning is there's plans. There's like, okay, what I would like to have happen. And then there's reality, which doesn't always reflect what happens in the plan. But if I don't have a plan, then there's nothing, then I'm like, okay, I'll sit around and read because that's what I would do if I didn't have some kind of plan. But then it falls through so much that then how do you like navigate that is what I find interesting and challenging. I really, before we started recording, I didn't think I was so challenged on this front. I do find like, what is that about? Like, as soon as I make a plan, I want to rebel against it or something.
That's an interesting reaction. Well, and I do feel like, when you read, so we read lots of books about lots of people doing different things, but I'm thinking sort of like the Getting Things Done, David Allen type of stuff where they talk about how really successful CEOs, authors, people who get really big things done have these periods of time they put in their schedule for planning, for that, high level thinking that, I don't know which altitude, 30,000 feet. Sometimes I think they say 50,000 feet, but you know what? You can't see anything. That's really too high. Even 30,000, it's hard to make out like what part of the country you're in there.
Like the bird's eye view.
The bird's eye view. Okay, so bird's eye view, cloud level, maybe, a few thousand feet up, just to get perspective. And I do realize that there are big projects I want to get done. Like, I was laughing at Niamh before we started this about a publishing calendar that I tried to make in January about all the stuff I was going to publish this year. And it's totally changed. I have published a ton of stuff, but it's been a ton of articles, not several books like I hoped. But without any books written on there, I definitely wouldn't get any done. Like, at least I am putting some time into them now. And hopefully, knock on wood, I feel like I'm almost done with the interview one that we talked about last episode, the compilation of interviews. So I think
that one wasn't anywhere on your plan because
that was nowhere on my plan.
You only started working on it like 2 weeks ago.
Yeah. And you know what was really exciting? So during that time, I was feeling restless and kind of angsty. Like, my kids are still off school. I'm not having a lot of time to do solid work on things. And I was getting frustrated with some of the things I was working on. So I grabbed that immediately, was like, that's a great idea. Pretty much over the weekend. So I talked to Niamh on a Friday. We had one of our Friday calls. Over the weekend, I got all the transcriptions done. I used my fancy hands tasks that were left. Like, every time someone uses my Juicy link from Fancy Hands, I get an extra task. So I had like 49 tasks built up or something. So I used a bunch of tasks, and then I did the rest on rev.com, which do very fast transcriptions. Most of them were a one-day turnaround. So really by Tuesday, I had transcriptions for 13 episodes. And then I started editing and sending them to people to make sure they would like them, see if they want to change any links or bios. Because some of them are, from 2015, 16, things have changed now. By 2017, they might need new stuff. But it was exciting just to grab something and go with it so fast. That was not on the plan at all. And now it's on my plan.
Yeah, I like that because like I have, I have this really cool assistant and strategist, and they're a married couple. And this is Emma and Lizzie, Team EBG. I'll probably talk about them, so I may as well introduce them here. But so they, like, a couple weekends ago, they came up with this idea for this like co-working group that they wanted to do. They came up with the idea on a Saturday, created their sales page that same day, and had paying customers by the end of that Saturday. And it's like, I love that, that like ability to like have an idea, know how to execute it, and like just break it down to the simplest form where you can execute it just quickly and get it out there and done. And yeah, so I feel like you do have to have room in plans for like inspiration and excitement. Like, especially like I really am super rebellious. So, as soon as I have a plan, it's like, I want to do the opposite. And so it's like, it's how to like navigate this. I find really interesting. So what do you do when you plan? How do you do that?
I've tried a lot of different strategies. Like I said, in January, I was trying the 90-day year. So I had this, let me just grab it here. Hang on. I was using this to plan, which
90-day year plan. Anyone listening.
Yeah, and it walks you through the steps of their method. And you're really limited on what you're supposed to focus on. Like, I usually tend to have like 12 goals a quarter, because across different businesses and different things that we're all doing. And you're supposed to have 3 in there. And I found that really hard. And it's funny, like we were talking about the things you grab and just act on really quick. I was also thinking about my Mastering Money Matters course, which I used to have a membership group, which actually we met in another group, but when you joined that membership group with me, Niamh, that's when we really started hanging out frequently and talking and realized that.
Free session, and I took you up on the free session. That was the first ever call we had.
That's right. Yeah. So like, it was a great group. I met some fantastic women in there. We ended up having some good relationships and stuff. And I eventually closed it last fall when my husband and I were selling our ranch, and we were just going through a lot of stuff. And I didn't feel like I was being present in it. I wasn't giving content that I wanted. So I stopped it, but I took some of the content that I created throughout the course, and I have a 6-week course, and I've sat on it. How long have I sat on this, Niamh?
Oh, like months.
Yeah. It's coming up on a year probably from when I bundled it up and was like, oh, this would make a 6-week course. So obviously I have some major resistance to getting it done. Like, I redid all the videos this summer. I redid the worksheets and stuff and made it pretty, and it's standalone now. It doesn't have to be part of a group. And I still just haven't quite put it out there. Like, I have a file on my Google Drive that says MMM email funnels. Stuff like that stops me when I'm like, oh, I have this content, I have this thing, I could do it. Oh, but I have to write a bunch of emails. What should I say in the emails? Should I follow somebody's templates? I kind of hate those template emails. I should just write my own emails. What should I say? How many should there be?
You know
Things
what
like
I
that
think
stand out.
is that I really think that it's this deciding, like needing to decide about stuff that's really so draining. Like, because we're not in jobs, we're in a situation where you have to self-manage. You have to like be able to choose not just to work, but what to work on, what aspect of it to work on, what's important. Okay, now you have to write an email. What goes in the email? What do you want to say here? Where do you put the link? What, you know, it's like, so it's just constant decision, decision, decision. So I always find that, like, I feel like planning can give you a place to come back to, but then if the energy's just not there, if you're like, you know what, I don't feel like sharing this course, if you don't feel excited about it, like, you don't have to. Maybe the excitement will come back. Like, I have a full course called Tailor-Made Online Business that I haven't offered in almost a year. And people have asked me occasionally, are you going to bring that back? And I just kept saying, no, 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 because I wanted to focus on Light It Up. And then just in the last little bit, I got Thinkific and was like, okay, I'm going to, you know, do my new challenges thing, the challenges with impact on Thinkific. And I was like, oh, suddenly I was like, oh, it would be really easy to stick Tailor-Made on that. And all of a sudden it felt like lighter and easier because I don't know what was not light about it before. But
Yeah.
sometimes then something just opens up and you're like, oh yeah, I can do that. I mean, I haven't done anything about it yet, but all of a sudden I'm like, oh, I feel more energy towards it now than I did.
Mm.
I was like, oh, just, you know, like do it with you know, as a big group launchy thing. I was like, I don't know if I want to do that, you know?
But maybe as a standalone thing, it might feel
Yeah,
better.
because it, like, the content is there and people love it. You know, the people who go through it love it. So I feel bad not offering it, but then it's like I don't feel like I have the energy to do a giant big launch when I'm just having so much fun doing the challenges. Then I suddenly don't want to do the like big 3 video series. This is really interesting. So I find, like, with planning, there's like what you plan and then what you do. And so I I do like having the plan. I feel like it gives me some context and focus, but then you have to be good at figuring out, like, in the moment, what to do, like how you're going to spend your time in the best possible way. I don't know. I don't know if we've
Yeah.
said anything useful yet.
Well, sometimes I have a hard time going from the big overview, getting all the way through down to the daily task, to the nitty gritty, especially when it's a big project, like a book project, which Niamh and I both want to write books. This is one of the
You
things
are
that
so
you've
much
gotten
further
through.
in this project than me.
But yeah, making the time on a regular daily, weekly basis to work on a big project that's going to take a long time with no immediate payoff and possibly little long-term pay. I mean, it's hard to know if you write the right book and promote it in the right way. There are plenty of people who do well with books, but it's not as immediate as doing an offering or a challenge or a course or, you know, things that you can sell pretty immediately. So I find with no plan, I don't get to those things at all.
Absolutely. So do you know what I do that does help is I have, like, usually about once a week, usually on a Monday, but sometimes on a Sunday, sometimes on a Wednesday, you know, whenever I kind of get to it, I will just dump down all of the stuff that's in my head that, like, I feel like I need to do. So that's not weighing on me anymore. So I'll put down, like, all of the client work I need to do and all of the videos I need to record and even all of those projects that have been, like, going on forever. And then some of them I'll be like, oh, this one is not for right now, you know? So it's like something might feel like it has to happen at some point, but you can just put it aside. So because I'm making a, you know, weekly plan when I'm doing this, so I'm like, okay, this is not going to happen this week, and I take it out. And then what I do is I categorize stuff. So I actually do planning, and, you know, and realizing as I talk about it that actually this is probably a, like, very clear strategy. But so I dumped down all this stuff, and then I put it into these, like, I have these 4, and I was just looking at my plan that I did the other day, and actually I didn't even call it a plan. I called it What's Important This Summer. And I put it into 4 categories. So I have clients, which is like some of the people I do one-on-one work with. I have very few clients because it's not, you know, where I want to spend all of my time. But those that I do have, you know, I'll have some extraneous work for them. So I have clients, or also calls. Like, if I have a call that week, I'll dump all of the calls that I have on that list. I have Light It Up, which is my membership site. So this is like, what do I need to create or do for Light It Up? Is there an email that I need to send? Is there an upcoming challenge I need to tell them about? And also, are there any videos and trainings that I need to do for them? Like anything that I need to create. And usually that's the biggest section because I put a lot of work, I find, into that. Then I have Biz Improvement / Front End. So Biz Improvement / Front End has stuff like Biz Buddies podcast. That's like something for my business that I want to do that, you know, hasn't yet existed. Or I've also put, you know, what do I have in there at the moment? Update intros everywhere.
Everywhere. All the places.
Well, I did. I recorded like 4 intro videos a couple months ago and haven't got around to editing and sticking them up somewhere. So I recently put up my new intro on my Facebook fan page, and I've got one for YouTube, I've got one for my website, you know, so that's one thing I really want to get done. That's a biz improvement. But it's not money making. So I keep kind of leaving it on the back end, like, I'll get to it at some point. I also have like, create some videos for my audience. I'm fairly inconsistent with regular content for my audience because I find that the way I structure my business doing challenges, I don't always need to be talking to them. So I have that there every week, create some front end videos, and then sometimes I do, usually I don't. And then I have this cool category called income, which is things that I can do that will actually help income. So that's like, can I send out an email promoting something? Or this week I have add challenges with impact to my offerings. So that's, I mean, if you listen to What's Up August, that's what I'm doing. This is the same day we're recording this. So that's what I've been working on this week, is adding a new income stream. So I have, you know, Light It Up, which is existing customers, income, clients, and my biz improvements. And so if something doesn't fall, like everything falls somewhere in those sections. And then what I do is I always make sure that I'm doing projects every morning, because that's when I have energy. So, I mean, that's when I have the most creative energy. So I'll work on recording videos. I don't even look at like Facebook or email or anything like that until the afternoon. So I'll do all of that stuff in the morning, anything creative in the morning. So usually that's where all of my income and biz improvements and Light It Up stuff happens. And then I'll do client work in the afternoon. Sorry, clients. You're like, what? You know, we don't get to our best energy. But I do client work in the afternoon. And then evenings, I'll usually be doing stuff like talking to Jen. And so that is some sort of structure that works.
Well, I think for your clients too, depending on where they are, if they're East Coast United States, morning for you is middle of the night for them. You know, like they won't even be up until your afternoon anyway. So that totally makes sense.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've started trying to do writing first thing in the morning because I feel like that's when I can have more focus. For me, it depends a lot on my kids, because there are some days where we're up for many hours before I'm up with the kids for quite a few hours before they either go to activities in the summer or therapies or things, and then school. But I used to start scheduling calls and stuff right at 9. So if I'm dropping them off at school, I'm usually back, 8:45 or so. It gives me 15 minutes. I can sit down and get ready for a call, for interviews or whatever. But I wasn't getting to writing until late at night. And sometimes I would be just so exhausted by then that it wasn't that good. So I tried doing at least my 750words.com. That's a website that I use to do sort of morning pages, but that's often where I do my daily planning. I'll look at my calendar too, but besides the calendar, sometimes my calendar feels misleading to me, because I actually, in my Google Calendar, I not only have my stuff, I have my kids as well. So like, which aide, school aide or therapist or caregiver are they with, and who's taking them to OT or speech or PT, or am I taking them, or is the play? So the calendar every day is like completely solid and overlapping with all these things. But if I just look at appointments, I will miss out on the times to do the actual work.
Yeah. Do you separate out your Google Calendar into like multiple calendars? Like, do you have a to-do?
I do. So they're different colors. So I can see like light purple is the kids, green is me, like my appointments and things. So yeah, so that helps. But, and actually this planner here that I showed a minute before, one thing I really like about it is when I use it. What's it
called, just for our listeners?
Okay, so it says Daily Action Planner, Organize Your Gorgeous Chaos, and it's from Savor the Success, which I really like. But see, it has this here says your water cup, and that's the actual appointments. So that's like the things you have to put in first. And then up here are all the tasks, like here's your brain dump tasks you want to get done. Here are your weeds, like the top 3 things you have to get done. And then here are seeds, which are like me sending out pitches for articles or submitting stories or poems or things out.
I like that idea of weeds and seeds. That's fun.
Weeds and seeds. So pull your weeds and plant your seeds, you know. So that's why I actually, of all my planners I've tried, and I've tried a lot, I keep coming back to this one. So like I'll stray for a quarter and go to a different planner, and then I end up coming back because that one, it's just kind of like the right balance for me. This one over here had
a link for that planner into the show notes. So
yeah, let's totally do that. This one I liked in a lot of ways. It has you track a lot more things and track your activity in 15-minute increments. And it ended up being overkill for me, to be honest. Yeah. Like I like doing Pomodoros, which are usually 25 minutes or so, but I'm not a lawyer. Like I can't like to actually track each thing every 15 minutes. So sometimes
bananas.
I know. Sometimes I'd look up and I'd be like, okay, so for the past 2 hours, I've basically been working on articles. So I would just fill in 2 hours worth of 15-minute increments, you know, and then I was like, well, I don't know. But
I find like I keep coming back to in terms of this like overall business focus of like the big stuff is I have a Google Calendar called BizPlans/Focus. And in it, I'll just put one thing per week. Like, what's the big thing happening this week? Like, this week is this section gets done. This week is prep for a challenge. This week is deliver the challenge. You know, like, and I find that then, like, my mom can say, hey, I'm coming to visit in February. And I can go, oh, actually, right then I'll be doing a challenge. Or, oh, right then I'll actually be finished. It's perfect. You know, so then I found that, like, now I start to say, you know, I'll put big notes on for it, for, you know, like tasks and stuff. Like now it's got things like I'll say, oh, I've got to email people at this point, but it's only the big stuff, like the big picture projects, big stuff coming up. And I find that kind of helps me with the overall, because you can change it. Like with a Google Calendar, you don't have to feel like, oh, now I'm crossing off something I didn't do. You're just like adjusting it as you go. And then like doing the weekly plan, it adjusts as you go, and you have a new idea and you just slot it into your weekly plan. So I find that yeah, the set in stone long-term plans just make me feel bad.
Yeah. Well, I was thinking about these calendars I've hung around. That one, I actually, it's August 8th today as we're recording this, and I had erased July, and I actually haven't finished filling in August yet. Whereas this, because it's always with me, I fill it in much more often. So like, I love the idea of my big calendars, but I don't always actively use, like I'm, you know, more than a week into August and I haven't even filled that one over there in, which is my monthly one. The one in the back was more so I could see like the big overview of the whole year of like, okay, my husband runs a record label, so I'll take note of record release dates so that, because I know around that time I need to help him with a bunch of stuff, and I'll take note of the kids' travel, or if I am like going to an event or something, or like going in March we went and saw Niamh in Ireland, and so I'll mark those big things in there. But the squares are so tiny, I don't want to put like daily tasks on there, so it's more for like overall planning. But the other day I had this idea of like, maybe I should just take it down and put some art back there. Because I really, like, I don't even look at it that much. I
look at this one I have here.
Yeah.
Really, that one, so I have this wall, same, it's like a year-long wall planner on my wall. It's intended to be like helping you figure out like what your plan is for each month. All I ever do is like know when I'm going on holiday. Like oh yes, holiday coming up.
Yeah, that's why I feel like trips, like, and people coming to visit us. That's the other thing that I have to keep track of, is because we're kind of a hotel. Like, we trip to California. We got back one day. The next day, friends arrived from Sanford. Like, we were in Southern California. Some friends from San Francisco arrived. And then when our friend from Albuquerque heard they were here and staying for several days, you know, they were staying for like 4 or 5 days, he drove in from New Mexico to hang out with them and us, and we recorded some music. And then they left, and a day later, another set of friends came. So if I don't keep track of that, just even in terms of the laundry, like the bedclothes, like, oh yeah, I need to immediately strip the beds and wash them and make them again the morning they leave, because the other people are coming in the evening. So yeah, we're not quite a hotel yet, but almost. Well, it comes in rushes. Actually, it was funny, the last set of guests, we told them, you know, what would have been going on before they got here, and they were like, is this all the time? And I was like, totally not all the time. We'll go months with no guests at all. And then all of a sudden we'll have like 4 different people coming within a couple of weeks, or 4 different groups of people coming in within a couple of weeks. So
Oh my gosh, that's that. I couldn't handle that. I am such a hermit. Go crazy.
It's kind of fun, and especially because one family had a kid and another had a dog. Like it's really interesting. Our kids love having visitors, so I'm happy to do it. It's just I need to plan it.
Yeah.
And the one set of visitors that came really unexpectedly, like I had to work. I had stuff scheduled during the days, but they went to the Grand Canyon one day and they went to Sedona another day, so it was all right. But yeah, it's hard to plan activities for them if you're not prepared ahead of time and don't clear space out of the calendar and everything. And that's something else about working for yourself too, is you can clear all the space out of your calendar that you want, but then those projects and income producing projects and all of that gets pushed out.
People don't realize that you still have to work. Like,
They think you're just sitting at home.
And they're like, "Oh, we'll stop by. We can just hang out." It's just like, but I have lots of stuff happening right now, So I always find that actually I work much harder, I think, on my own business than I ever did. I mean, like I work fewer hours, but it's like, it's intense and you're like, it's, there's a lot of thought that goes into it and stuff. So lately I've been thinking with planning as well. Like I have this notebook that's essentially a blank notebook that you write on with special pens that you can then wipe it all out and erase it. And it's really cool because you can it's called Rocketbook. You can mark on it like where you want it to be sent, take a scan with your phone, and it sends it to like the correct Dropbox notes. So this is my cool new thing that I'm totally in love with. But I was thinking, if I wrote on this, because it's like it uses these special pens, if I wrote on this with a normal pen, I could make my own planner that like uses my own way of doing things and then like wipe it out all the time and just see. Like, I don't know, I was interested in that idea.
I've not heard of that notebook.
Oh, it's really cool. I'm totally in love with it because I have notebooks and notebooks and notebooks where I have some really important notes in it. And then the next day I have my today list. Every day.
Grocery list, yeah.
Every day in the morning I write today and then just write down all of the crap I have to do, which I suppose is sort of planning, but it's literally just so that I can cross stuff off because it makes me feel really good. And so I have all of these notebooks with this mix of stuff. And I was like, having a really hard time finding my important notes. So I started to use this, and now I just like scan all the notes, and then the todays, I just ignore them, and then I wipe it all out, and I get to start, and I'm really enjoying it. I don't know. There's something really fun about it.
So there's nothing digital about the notebook itself. It has
so it has this like little, what is that called? A QR code at the bottom, and you can't actually see in this light, but along the bottom there are these like 6 or 7 different marks on it, like 6 or 7 different symbols, and then you mark the symbol. So I can say this one is lighted up. So I've like programmed it that if I mark it lighted up, it goes into my lighted up Dropbox folder. If I mark it, Biz Buddies podcast, it goes into my Biz Buddies folder as soon as I take a scan of it. So it's really cool because I'm organizing all of my thinking, and then I can just erase it all and start again. So I'm really enjoying that. But I was thinking of like, how cool would it be to like make my own planner? Although, you know what? I just never end up using them. Seriously, writing down my weekly stuff and then writing today at the top of a page seems to be what I fall back on all the time.
Yeah. You know what? I think this is good to share because I feel like a lot of times all we hear are the advertisements for the planners, and it's like, it totally changed my life. I use it every single day. I can't be without it. Oh my gosh, if I lose it. Blah, blah, blah. And the truth is, we just, they all have some good to them. We try different methods. We try different things, but yeah.
Fall back to a piece of paper and like organizing out the week and then writing today so I can cross shit off. And then I also write stuff after I've done it so I can cross it off because, who doesn't want to cross stuff off? So.
I sometimes do that too, especially sometimes I get frustrated in this when I've used up all of the little, like here's the weekly plan bit, which obviously that one's not very planned out yet. But if I run out, I get annoyed and I start some more over here. So just so I can show like, oh my God, I was so productive this week. I need to check it off.
I know. We need a reward.
Yeah. But there's something intrinsically rewarding about a check mark or a crossing out when something's done.
Oh, for me, it's crossing it out. It's like a big line through it. It's like, yes, you were off of my list. Very satisfying. So,
yeah.
Yeah. So I think we should probably wrap this up. It's probably a very long conversation about planning, but who knew we had so much to say about it?
Yeah, so if you have thoughts on planning and planners, like what planner do you use? How do you plan out your days, weeks, months, and years? How do you get the big tasks that have little immediate reward done and in the schedule as well? We'd love to hear from you, especially if you're on YouTube. Go and leave us a comment and let us know.
Yeah, and if you're looking for Jen's cool planner that we talked about a lot, check out the show notes. We'll put a link to that. We'll also put a link to the Rocketbook Everlast notebook, which is the one I was talking about, which is my current favorite. So, Jen, we have to make a note to put those notes in.
Yeah. And don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review on iTunes. That helps more people find us. And subscribe on YouTube as well. That would be awesome. And share it with all your friends.
Absolutely. And we will see you in the next episode. Bye.
Bye.